Like,
Part 2.
3.
Part 3.
Okay. So then the same producer backing up having this dinner with this MSNBC producer. So one of them, she was like, well, what about Harris? And then I could tell that because these are African American people, we're not all voting for the same person.
Well, not
this time
everybody.
around. Not everyone. One other associate producer or something.
2 out of 6.
Yeah, 2 out of 6.
We're not African American.
No, 4 out of 6. Oh, I see what you're saying. 2.
2 were not. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 were not. So anyway, they really piped up over Harris, and they were like, "What about Harris?" And she, and I don't want to kick anyone while they're down. I know she just got out of her campaign, but we're talking about our lived experience, and this is what is part of it. And I was just kind of like, yeah, I don't think Harris. I was trying to tell them. I was trying to tell them. I was just like, I don't think her campaign is very viable, or something is a little off, And they're like, what? And what are you talking about? And I was just like, well, I saw Harris in South Carolina, a few weeks ago at the Criminal Justice Reform Forum, and we did videos on that as well, where we heard Trump speak in person, and we were with these black conservative Republicans and everything. Anyway, we were trying to tell them that weekend, they were like, oh, but you don't know. Harris took a stance and she was boycotting and she wasn't going to show up that weekend and everything. And we're like, no, that's not what happened. We're like, she was one of the first few candidates to RSVP to the event, because I saw that she was going to be there. Maybe a month or two before, the actual event. And then it wasn't until closer to the event that more candidates RSVP'd. And that's when we were like, okay, yeah, we should go.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, no. She was boycotting. She was taking a stance for black people and taking a stance because I guess this organization was giving Trump an award, but it was a bipartisan organization. So it wasn't shocking that some Republicans.
I'm like, why punish the whole event and Benedict College, because this group, which is
bipartisan,
bipartisan, wanted to give him an award. You know?
And then come to find out, one of the guys that we met at the during the weekend of the Criminal Justice Reform Forum, he knew one of the provost or something of the university, and he was like, oh yeah. The provost, Kamala is the provost's girl, that's his or her friend. She was always going to be there. She was always going to be at this forum, it was just.
Okay.
Sorry, my cat is really on one right now.
I want it.
Yeah. And so so I was telling them, I was like, she was always going to be at that event. I was like, that was a publicity stunt. And they were like, well, it worked because Twitter said this, and I'm like, well, Twitter is not the real world. And it did not work at the conference. You know what I mean? Maybe it got a little bit of traction, but by the time she came on and was talking to the audience, so it kind of fizzled. Mm-hmm. It just kind of fizzled. So anyway, but it was we noticed it was this resistance to what we were saying, which were real experiences and things like that. And then when we weren't going along to get along with what this one specific producer was, trying to put out there, you could tell that she was getting frustrated and upset, and I'm like, we're not those people where you can just feed these ideas that, because a lot of people are not thinking for themselves. Where's my glasses? Hey! These are my Candy O glasses. Blexit, baby! Think for yourself. Think for yourself.
No,
Think for yourself.
I'm not mad at that message.
Me neither. We did a video on Candace Owens. Watch it at your own leisure. But seriously, people have to think for themselves because it's people will just see a headline. And I mean, these are really professional, smart, educated, well-read types, if you fit into any of those categories, people will not even they will just read a headline. They won't open the article. I mean, we all do it sometimes, but I mean, if you're really going to be out there advocating and in the comments and posting something, you might want to open that article
at
and
least
read it.
Yeah.
Give it a skim. Give it a quick skim. You know what I
But
mean?
it's just like too much. It's that power thing again. Like they get a lot of power, a lot of credibility just off of a title.
Yeah.
And
just off of like the courage to just put some, like there's a lot of crazy people.
Or maybe even previously well done work.
Yeah.
But you really have to kind of be vigilant and look at the content.
And there's this thing too where it's like, back in the day it was like breaking news and this person broke the story, and I mean, it still kind of exists today, but it's like, now it's like if something comes out, all these media outlets and bloggers and pundits and like actual journalists, they're so afraid to like miss out on the story or the network, whoever. It's like someone will say something, and if it gets the least bit of traction or credibility, it's like everyone hops on it and then makes it like true. And it may or not even be true, really, or it's out of context or something. And then sometimes you're like, people are doing this deliberately, obviously, to like pull people in to click, like clickbait, So anyway, so we just noticed that, so that was like that dinner. I kind of want to move off that because before that, well, no, I'm sorry, let me go forward. At the debate, there was this incident where at the end of the debate, candidates can come out and they can, after it'll be like, all right, it's a wrap, cameras down or whatever. So then everyone's like getting up out of their seats, and we were like in the 5th row on the floor, very close to the stage and everything. And so everyone's like trying to like get out of their seats and, go take pictures with people, meet people, talk to people. That's how we, met Roland and everything. And the candidates are on the stage, or sometimes they come down, they're taking photos with people. So, I'm open. Like I would have talked to, a lot of candidates, that I just would, even though I'm for Biden, like I would have talked to a lot of different candidates, but I'm not even kidding you, a good like 10 minutes or so, maybe 15 or so after the debate was over, even 15 is kind of generous.
Yeah, even 10
Maybe about 10 minutes. All the candidates left except for Biden and Andrew Yang.
Mm-hmm.
All the candidates. Why is this important? Quick story. We were sitting in the audience during the debate, and there was a section that was next to us. And I talk about this in another video, and I think I might have even posted like the proof. If not, I'll make sure to post it. And so there was this group of college students, about 20, 30 people from Vanderbilt, and they won a lottery to be able to come to debate, like their Democratic club. So a lot of them were for the free people, people getting the free stuff. Andrew Yang, free $1,000. Elizabeth Yang, Elizabeth Warren, free college, free healthcare, Bernie, everything's free, So they're mostly for those people. Now, I'm not saying that's the only reason they're for them. I'm not saying that they don't have legitimate reasons, the younger generation, legitimate reasons.
Yeah.
But it's just a coincidence that a lot of those people are talking free. And these younger people who need these opportunities and are living in a different kind of world need, they're looking for different things in their candidates. A few people were for Pete, but they were mostly for Bernie. Okay. A few Yangs in there. And then anytime Biden would be saying something, they'd be like, snickering, like it's like their granddad, but it wasn't like super malicious or anything. So afterwards, the debate ended, and then these young people are like, Bernie, yeah, hey, Bernie, yeah, and everything. And Bernie's all like, from the stage or whatever.
Excellent.
Yeah, right. Bernie is.
Captured it.
Yeah, from the stage. By the time we got to the front of the stage, and like I said, we wanted to take a photo with Roland, so we took our little photo with Roland.
I mean, it's like everybody hadn't even got out of their seat.
No, it was like hard, to get out of the seats because it was so like cramped. By the time that was over and Roland was over, I don't even know if we went to the restroom or not. I don't think we did at that point.
People were still exiting.
Yeah, by that point we look around, and that's when all the candidates were gone. Mm-hmm. So these young people from Vanderbilt, who, maybe a few of them got some photos with like Warren or whoever. But at that point, all of Biden's supporters.
Warren stayed and took pictures?
For like 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So like at this point, all of Biden's like, supporters who were around started like crowding around the stage. They're like, Joe. Yeah, Joe. And Joe's like, hey, and everything. He's like, like I said, I've done a video on this, but if you haven't seen it. But like, Joe, he was like crouched down, he was, he was like squatting, like bending his knee.
He was on his knees on that.
Yeah, then he got on his knees.
Taking selfies
taking these selfies, and he's like, oh man, hey, what's your name? Yeah, okay, where you from?
He's like, I love you guys.
Yeah. And he was like,
so sweet.
It was really heartfelt, and everyone was just having this moment with Joe, and he's like, I didn't see my wife. Where's my wife? And everybody, he was just in, connecting with the voters and the people.
You told a story about the lady from Brooklyn. You were like, I'm not going to do her ass.
Oh, yeah, this lady from Brooklyn, she got into the crowd, and...
Yeah.
Well, I know, they may have not seen it, whatever. Sure. But, they got into the crowd, and she was just, afterwards, just so, that's all I needed. That's all I needed, Joe. He said hi to me, and everything, and asked me how I was doing, and, And my point is,
he looks you in the eyeball.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
He absolutely does. He is a real people person,
Yeah, he is.
And that is a gift, and that is priceless. You cannot, I don't care how many billions of dollars Michael Bloomberg has, how many billions of dollars Tom Steyer has.
$1 billion doesn't buy that.
That isn't, it does not. It does not. It doesn't buy that connection or that familiarity or people feeling comfortable around you. Mm-hmm. And see and so then what ended up happening is after Joe, as he's talking to all his supporters, all the other young people whose candidates weren't there, the young people started globbing onto Joe. Joe, Uncle, hey Joe, hey, can we take a photo? And then Joe took time with them. And I was saying, some of these people may not even vote for him, but Joe was there for them. Why is this important? Because I just could not understand that most of these candidates, Warren, Pete, Bernie, Harris, and Booker, who are struggling to have a strong base of black voters in a party where black voters make up 20-25% of the party, loyal voting bloc, and you're in a battleground state like Georgia, why would you not stay after this debate and take time to connect with voters and talk to people? Mm-hmm. That doesn't make any sense. And then instead you leave probably to go give a stupid interview with MSNBC to a small group or segment of people who watch MSNBC or who think exactly this liberal bubble or whatever. You want to go to appeal to those people instead of talking to real people and real voters and listening to what they have to say and looking them in the eye. That is what voters remember, more so than a 2% tax increase of 2 cents on the dollar of the billionaires after they get their capital gains. That is not what, people are not going to the voting booth on that. They might even think they are, but they're going to a voting booth on a connection with a candidate, And so that told me everything. Because if you cannot take time at a Democratic debate where a lot of people in the room are Democrats and your supporters or other people's supporters, because people change their mind. People might be for one candidate 1 week, and then 3 months from now, they might be for another candidate. Mm-hmm. So anytime you have a chance to connect with a voter, that is what you do. You stay there and connect with them. So it made no sense to me that all these voters were gone. And the only people left were Biden and Yang. And then even Yang ended up leaving the stage, but he was still in the room. He left the stage. And then Biden slid off the stage and stood up on the floor and the ground with everybody else. And he was taking photos 45 minutes after the debate was over. We couldn't even we were trying to stay to the end. And he was still, taking photos, talking to people.
Yeah.
That is why Biden is liked, by a lot of people, even people who don't support him. And that is it's an invaluable asset to have, especially when you're running against a complete fool and maniac and someone who cannot empathize with people, someone like Trump.
It's heartfelt connection versus celebrity.
Yeah. And this is where MSNBC comes in. Because when I talk to my mom, who does not watch the debates, so this is why all this weight being put on these debate performances, as if these circus performances are even indicative of a person's ability to be a leader. Because Obama, he wasn't always the greatest debater at every debate. Hillary would roast Obama, some of those debates, and it's just not everybody's format, especially with Biden, when you hear he has this history of stuttering and it's a neurological, issue and getting words out and things jumbled. Like, you can't, measure, like, answer this question right now and diss this person next to you and answer
you're
this.
going to be a bad president.
Yeah, like, that is so dumb. I'm sorry. It just really is. And so, anyway, but what my mom, I was talking to her and I was, like, telling her, about this whole thing about, Biden staying to connect with voters. And she was like, wait a minute. She's like, because the only reason she really even kind of watched the debate is because she knew I was going to be there and she was recording it. But she was, like, still in and out. And she was just like, yeah, I didn't see Biden taking photos with anyone. She's like, yeah. And it was MSNBC sponsored the debate. And she's just like, I didn't see Biden. She's like, yeah, I just saw Elizabeth Warren. They just kept showing Warren taking these photos with everybody. Well, let me tell you, that was probably for like 5-10 minutes, if even that.
I don't think it was 2 minutes.
Because if Elizabeth Warren was hanging out, I definitely would have gone up and talked to her. I don't know what I would have said, but I would have gone up and said something, And so anyway, that was just very interesting to me because it's like still trying to paint this brush about like, oh, look at Elizabeth Warren. She's taking thousands of selfies with people. And I mean, yeah, she is, but are you connecting with people? And we've had that situation where like there's been a certain star where it was like a backstage, sort of thing after a show and you could do like a meet and greet. And this person was like very personable on Instagram.
Oh my God.
On the stories and stuff.
And even on stage.
Yeah.
Things like, oh my God, you're so likable. Gesundheit. Bless you.
Okay.
One more? Okay. For good measure.
Thank you. Sorry. But this person, we ended up doing this like backstage thing with them after their show, and this person was not personable.
She wouldn't even look anyone in the eye.
No, like you'd walk up to like, the point and she'd be like, ding, ding, okay, ding. Like it was no connection.
No. And maybe she would even run off in between like, oh, okay.
And it wasn't that many people at the meet and greet. Like it was
not
like
even that many.
50 people. Like it wasn't, it's nothing to take a minute with somebody.
Or just to look at them.
Yeah.
Thank you. Or,
yeah.
Hi.
Thank you. Hey,
hi. Let's take a picture. Yeah. Hi.
Yeah.
What's your name? Okay. Ding.
Yeah, exactly. So I just thought that was interesting because we're hearing these stories about Elizabeth Warren from Oklahoma. Folks, grab me a beer. I'm sorry, but Elizabeth Warren wasn't out there. And if I was a candidate or I was advising a candidate, I'd be like, you stay yourself out there until the man
Don't even think
or woman who is cleaning up the studio turns out them lights. You know what I mean? Like, and you take a picture with them. You know what I mean? Like, why are you not connecting with people that you need to be connecting with? So interesting. MSNBC is like trying to play with that. So then more recently, Andrew Yang, he has a video on here somewhere. Maybe we'll put it in the comment section where he is talking about how MSNBC, my cat again is really wants to be a part of this. Mm-hmm. So Andrew Yang, he started this like hashtag boycott MSNBC. And he laid it out where he was like, he did an interview with CNN and he was just like, yeah, MSNBC is trying not to, or not even trying, but they're not including me in these stories and these polling. And, and he knows he ain't gonna win. I mean, Andrew Yang's not going to win, sorry. But sometimes like he is polling at like a few percentage. He polling better than Corey. He is. You wouldn't know that though.
I know.
And he's polling better with Corey than some black voters. But that doesn't fit the narrative. Which brings me to Joy Reid. I really like Joy Reid. She's a Sagittarius.
Oh, I know. She really likes Joy Reid.
But she's very smart. Mm-hmm. I listen to her podcasts with Jackie Reid, cousin Jackie. Yeah, I really like Joy Reid. I mean, I do feel like Joy Reid is very smart and she's a great journalist and this and that. But Joy Reid has to keep her job too. Yeah. And Joy Reid has to keep with her hustle too. Which is why she wrote a book about Trump during his first term. And I'm not saying that these people are consciously working to get Trump reelected. But something is going on where MSNBC...
It wouldn't be a bad thing for them.
Right. It wouldn't be a bad thing. And it wouldn't hurt her bottom line pocket necessarily. Mm-hmm. Especially with them tax cuts. As your wealth increases and those tax cuts that Trump is giving the 1% and everything can be helpful. But what I am saying is like, why is MSNBC mischaracterizing things? And that's why I'm like, people are like, oh, you're for Biden. That's why. And I'm like, look, I don't hide my support for Biden. But my point is, this is not about Biden. This is not even about a candidate per se. This is about why is MSNBC mischaracterizing certain information and certain people. So like the same people who were talking about Biden is fading, there are campaign events that are happening where 800 people are showing up, or like a very intimate crowd of like, 150 are showing up for like 4 hours. Like I remember after that South Carolina event, there was an event in North Carolina that Biden went to, and he spent like, I was with him during the day for something, and then he went to North Carolina in the evening, and he spent like another 4 hours with people in North Carolina answering questions, being informal, taking photos. And this was not covered by mainstream. The only reason I know about this is because if you go to Twitter and you search under the emoji that's a drum, you can find other Biden supporters. And people who are like going to these events, they're saying the same thing. They're like, this cool event happened. All these people are there where Biden is like showing all this stamina and he's answering these questions and, he's a command on the issues. MSNBC is not covering that. They want to cover like, like, oh my God, he said record players. Like they want to cover that like 9 times. They don't want to show you when he's like in, at a campaign stop, connecting with people and having like a 3-hour conversation with people on the issues. They're not going to show you that, And so anyway, Joy Reid, like last weekend, apparently she had depending when you see this, it was around the end of, end of November, early December. She had this panel where she was talking about like the racism and sexism and the Harris and Booker and Castro and Amy K campaign. I'm like, I know y'all not trying to bring Amy K into this. Don't try to bring Amy K into this. Y'all have not given Amy K her respect, the due diligence and time to talk about her plans, to talk about where is Amy K's profile and courage or whatever that y'all gave Warren. Yeah. Where's that for Amy K? Don't try to act like you guys care about her now. Try to throw her in the mix for like good measure, so it doesn't look like it's just like a black and Latino thing. Right. Like, and it's Amy K too. And Amy K, yeah. And don't get me wrong, like there's definitely issues with race. There's definitely issues with sexism and, things of that nature involved with like campaigns and campaign coverage. However, this needs to be a separate video. This idea that black voters who like Biden or who don't like these other candidates are just because Biden's a white man and these other candidates are black or Latino, like that is just so narrow and short-sighted and nonsensical. And so all that to say, Joy Reid was really like pushing this narrative too. And a lot of people who love Joy Reid have been saying like, I can't really watch her because it's so obvious that she is like so in the bag for Harris or so in the bag for Booker or Warren, or Pete. Like she has gone one of them. Across all, but she is very like not for Biden. Anyway.
That's your business.
And then of course there's Bernie. Everybody ignores Bernie. MSNBC, I'm not a Bernie fan. Oh boy. Uh-oh. Bernie bros are like,
they probably figured.
Huh?
They probably figured, seeing as how we don't mention Bernie very much.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I'm not either. Sorry.
Sorry.
Not sorry.
But it is true. Bernie, he has his supporters and he has a movement of sorts within his supporters. Yeah. So I've been told. Bernie and Nina. Okay, just leave it at that. Yeah. But the point is, the media does ignore Bernie.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, so.
Next.
We didn't. We mentioned it. Yeah. I think that might have been.
You did that great impression.
What? Oh, Bernie. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, wait. Do I have any more points? Oh, no, that's it. I think that's it.
What? Closing statements.
Closing statements are this. Stop allowing MSNBC to tell you what to think.
It's like this. Like you said, all skin folk Agey kinfolk.
And that, yeah.
And you really got to look at people's heart and values, and not just those outside labels like their race, their sex, their nationality, but really what are their values? What are they saying? You know, like those deeper underlying things. I think a lot of times people get so hung up on the identity that they kind of lose track of the content.
And I think it's important too, because that's one thing I try to do. Because like now I try to just like cross-check things, because I know I was in a bubble in 2016 and I was in the woke community and culture, in the woke cult, and you know I was like, you know, ready to be outraged at every little thing and this and that, and you know I just feel
I was just like going in a cage of fear.
Yeah, but I mean, like even before Trump was elected, it's like it was like right before he was elected, and then when he was elected, you know,
yeah.
And I'm just like reading and you know the same information. But now what I do is I like to read. You know, I like to go to certain sources, and it's a combination of podcasts, it's a combination of print media, or you know, if they have like a blog through a newspaper. Or, you know, TV. And then I also will take a little peek at opposing, like, you know, Republicans or conservatives, like their points of view from them as well. And then I kind of like cross-check everything, you know, because sometimes things are happening and that tea be in the tea be on the opposite side.
It really does.
The tea be on the opposite side, you know, and like, because sometimes you'll read something, you're like, like, that's BS, you know what I mean? But then sometimes you'll read something and you're kind of like, you might think that's BS. And I'm like, okay, let me just tuck this back here. And then it'll come up again. Yeah. It will come up again. And then you can see where they're getting ready to hit people. And that's how I started to learn, like, a little bit of, like, where the weaknesses were in these candidacies. So, like I said, I'm not trying to, like, I'm not, you know, we poked fun a little bit, you know, at some of the Democratic candidates. But I'm not trying to like really be on here. I mean, I could easily do like scathing reviews of some of these Democratic candidates.
All liberals are telling the truth and all conservatives are lying. Right. You know, you can't, it's not black and white like that.
Yeah, it's so
And gray. I feel like if you're not one of those people who's willing to read and check and cross-check, at least know that about yourself. You know what I mean? At least be honest, and then don't go around like professing ideas like it's gospel and you know the fact if you don't. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I know. And it's
at least admit your level of ignorance to yourself.
No, it is a thing. I mean, I'm in this like Facebook group that it's like policy, you know, and I really was kind of like, oh, you know, and I joined it because I was like, oh, there's probably going to be people in here smarter than me, and I can learn about policy and see what they're talking about. These people are some of the most ignorant people. I mean, at times, I hate to say it, but they are. And like, somebody will post something. They won't even read. People don't even read. Like, there will be a whole like 30 comments about an article that clearly nobody has opened and read. It is ridiculous, you know? And then I come on and I'm like, you know, I'll say something and then they'll get like mad at me because I read the article, you know, and I'm
like, why are you screwing this up?
You know, like, here. What are you talking about? You know, but that is like a thing. It's like a laziness in thinking and critical thinking and researching. And if you are in it, like, break yourself out of it.
And a denial of your level of not knowing. You know, that's one of the first things I learned when I started teaching in colleges was, if you don't know something, just say you don't know. Yeah. And go find out.
Yeah. They told lawyers that, like, as well. It's like, if you don't know something, you know, you're just like, hey, I'll get back to you. I'm going to research it.
Yeah,
you know, or something.
You go find out. But you don't act like you know. Yeah. Or just say, I don't know, but I can find out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you can find out.
Absolutely. So I'm just encouraging people, like, don't just start regurgitating talking points. Like, it's crazy. Like, I've just seen this so many times, you know, where people will just be like, oh, yeah, you know, Biden's this, or, oh, yeah, this is happening, you know, and it's like, it doesn't even make sense, you know what I mean? Like, you could just tell, like, they haven't even thought about this. Like, they're completely repeating the line that, like, somebody gave them, you know? And so just really try to check that about yourself and really read between the lines, and just know MSNBC is just another... It's not like Fox, you know, because Fox is just like a hot mess, you know, but the point is, it's all business.
It's all
It's
at
all
the end
business
of the day.
at the end of the day.
There is a commercial aspect, which
Yes.
is whose goal is to draw in money.
Yeah. And we're living in a time where, you know, these reality shows and, you know, salacious, you know, shows and these things.
That.
Yeah, you know, like that is more, you know, interesting to people than
you're competing with Floribama Shore.
Wait,
You are.
Floribama
Shore.
It's like the show on MTV. It's like
I've
Florida
never even watched
Alabama.
it, but I saw it on the guide
thing.
recently, and I was like, wow. I remember when they started pubbing it, but I was like, wow, that's still going. Anyway, you're
I'm shocked.
With that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. So, you know, just be aware of that and don't just get stuck on being in that bubble, you know, of the echo chamber.
Basically,
open your mind.
Free your mind.
Think for yourself.
And your ass will
Think
follow.
for yourself.
Don't.
Free your mind.
Oh, Lord. No.
All right.
Oh, 9 days.
All right. Let's wrap. How do you do this? Anyway, I'm tired.
What are you doing? You're like, too cool. Wait, no, remember this?
Too legit.
Too legit. I can't even do it.
Too legit to quit.
Of course you could do it. Let's try it.
Too legit.
Too legit to quit. Hey, hey. And on that note, bye-bye.
Bye.